Mom Guru. I'm Jax, and today we're going to take a look at the next question in our New Year, New Way series. Can you name your 3 most damaging weaknesses and explain what you are doing to combat them? 3? Okay, well, we can do that. So, the first thought that came to my mind when I was listening to this, because number 1, my first weakness is pride. The first thing that came up to me was the Frank Sinatra, "I'll do it my way." And that was the Jack's way. So let's start and talk about what pride is supposed to be. Okay, so it says, according to the dictionary, a feeling or deep pleasure of satisfaction derived from one's own achievement, the achievements of those with whom one is closely associated, or from qualities or possessions that are widely admired. Now, it's good to have pride in your work and have pride in yourself and take pride in things. But it's when you become prideful that it becomes a little bit, that things turn onto the nasty way. When you think that you're better than someone, or you're superior, or you become condescending because of your knowledge base of what you have, that's where pride becomes a problem. And I've done that. Now, I'm not a learned person in regards to scholastic achievement. I don't have these letters after my name, and I don't have great accomplishments in regards to the world standards of music or art or anything like that. That's not my area of expertise. So you could quite easily run circles around me logically on quite a few different things. If you wanted to, I'm not a scholared person, a scholastic person. Does that tell you? I love how things manifest for themselves right before my eyes. It makes me laugh. Anyway, my area of expertise is emotional intelligence. I love to understand how we think as emotional people and look within myself of what drives me emotionally and what cripples me emotionally. That is the area of expertise that I love. Anything that has to do with that and understanding, like the law of attraction stuff, how we create our own reality and what patterns that we have mentally that keep us trapped in our own mindset and the paradigms of our thinking. Some way along the lines of philosophy, but not philosophy on the way of head knowledge, philosophy in the way of emotional knowledge. I love that stuff. And unfortunately, it's made me a bit of a snob in regards to that, because someone will come to talk to me about something that, let's say, for instance, it's there's a high school level or elementary school level, high school level, graduate level, master's level, PhD level, and someone would come to me with a grade school level understanding, and for me, I'd have this haughty attitude within myself. Well, you have a long way to go, baby, before you can understand it to the depths that I did. And that's a very harsh thing for me to think and say about myself, but I have to be honest, that is some of the ways that I used to think. My husband actually used to come to me and say, you don't have to be a know-it-all all the time about stuff. And again, that was a hard thing to hear, but it was true. So one day I sat back I was having a shower, and sometimes my most enlightening moments come when I'm in the shower. I'm not really sure why that happens, but it does. And I realized, and a panoramic view came in, and like this domino effect, like I talked in a previous video, where I just sat there and all these thoughts came in my mind on the areas and where that I'd been a know-it-all. That was a very sobering, humbling experience for me. And I realized that my insecurity of not feeling that I was good enough and not feeling that I could do things correctly had me have this haughty attitude that I could do it correctly and I could do with this false sense of confidence and this snobbery know-it-all attitude. I've been working on that. I'm trying to keep a conscious mind of being helpful and harmless in my approach, because knowledge and wisdom is not helpful to people if all they see is your terrible attitude. The second weakness that I had was doubt. There's a story in the Bible that's a very, very good illustration of this, and it's called The Doubting Thomas. And I don't know if you know the story very well. I'll give you a brief overview of what it is. And Christ had risen, and was appearing to people after his resurrection. And Thomas didn't believe it. He said he only wants to believe it if he can see it or touch it. So Christ came to him and allowed him to see and touch the wounds that he received during his crucifixion. And Thomas became a believer. And sometimes we have to be like that. I was talking to a lady the other day, and she was talking about how faith is wrapped up in what we can see. But isn't that very interesting that what we see is actually just a manifestation of what we already believe? So if you believe A, B, or C, you're only going to see A, B, or C. So it's going to be very difficult to see D because you don't believe it's going to happen. You have to actually change your mindset that you want to see D, and then slowly D will start showing itself. But it doesn't happen the other way around. It's not going to manifest itself first because our outside world is only a movie of what we have playing on the inside. It's just the camera is on the inside and the world is just a projection of it. So if you want to see D, you have to put a different film in and tell it that you want to see D, and then you'll see it. Great in theory, not so easy in practice. When it came to emotional experiences, because emotional intelligence is my thing, I have been a rebel, and just someone that would just take the plunge and do whatever it took. It didn't matter what I had to go through emotionally. I figured if it was bad, it was going to bring me something that I needed to know about myself. I have a girlfriend that when I've made some of the choices in my life, she looks at me, she goes, I'm going to get the popcorn and I'm going to live vicariously through you because you're just out there in regards to that. Fearless is the word I was looking for. I'm fearless in regards to emotional situations and facing emotional things. Financial? Totally different story. I've been crippled by doubt and fear and just become this really small individual. And it was extremely difficult to transition from being the fearless emotional person and bring some of that strength into my financial area. And the only way I was able to do that was to question why I was afraid in the first place and what I was afraid of. So first of all, you don't focus on what you're afraid of, but why I was afraid. So why was I afraid of my finances? And I realized that I had some patterning from my parents. And what I realized is that my dad's version of who a dreamer was, and when you opened your mind to being a dreamer, was to be highly irresponsible and to lose everything. So it was no wonder that when I was sitting there opening my mind to the law of attraction and how I was going to create my reality and dream, that triggered for me in my childhood, dreamer equals loser, because that's what my dad did with his dreams. He had a tremendous opportunity to make a huge amount of money, but whenever he got a little bit of money, he turned it into this poison and helped destroy what he had for his family. So no wonder I would take dreamer equaled loser and my fear would come up. So when I realized that that was not my dream, that was not the way I was supposed to live, that was just something that I learned and watched and witnessed. So then I realized, well, then that's not my story. So why am I living someone else's story? That's my dad's story. That's his baby. I don't have to follow that whatsoever. So that's how I started to turn around my doubt within finances. Take away the core belief. The belief was that dreamers were losers. So now that I don't believe that, sometimes every once in a while a financial thing will come up and I'll get a little zing, but it's nowhere near the crippling fear that it was before. The third weakness. I was just talking about this in a previous post on how do you bring others for sympathy, and I was listening. I suck as a listener. We're just going to call it right straight out. It took about 3 years ago for it to finally sink in that I sucked at a listener, and I'm still working on it today because first I thought, well, I'll just talk all the time because talking makes me popular. And I sat there with my friends and thought they were just jealous because they were more of the shy, quiet type. And they were just jealous because I was a great storyteller and they couldn't be like me. Anyway. Then I realized that I wasn't actually listening to them. And I had a couple friends of mine that made comments. One specifically told me, like I had in my previous video, that I talked a lot. But a girlfriend of mine, one of my dear friends, said to me, she goes, you know what? I can't get a word in edgewise when you talk. And that was really hurtful because I realized that I saw all the times. It's funny when you actually open up your mind to taking a look at a belief about yourself or a pattern. If you actually sit in the moment and accept the fact that show me this about myself, you will actually, this happens to me anyway, that there's a panoramic view of all of these things. I saw all the times I cut her off. I saw all the times that I didn't let her finish what she was saying before interrupting. I saw all the times that I just talked and talked and talked and really didn't even ask how her day was. And I thought, what a lousy friend. Like, blah, 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 Jax, shut up. This listening, being an active listener, really challenges being self-centered, because that's what talking all the time and talking about yourself is that you're only thinking about yourself. And I have done that repeatedly and habitually for many years. So the listening one, actively working on it every day. I know, and I know that I've come to a newer understanding of it, because I'll be sitting in a situation. I was in one actually yesterday. I was sitting in a situation where this woman is talking, and I'm like, all of a sudden thinking about what I was going to say, and I'm like, no, just sit and listen. Listen to what she has to say. But it was really interesting because I'm looking in her eye and I didn't want to connect with her. I didn't want to share with her energetically or emotionally. I just wanted to like run and hide. And I thought, well, that's an interesting discovery. I wonder why I want to run and hide. Because I wonder if I used to do all this talking so that people couldn't act. It was like a smoke show so that people couldn't actually see what was going on in the inside. And then I thought, well, why is that? Interesting discovery. So now maybe I'm finding out the true reason why I don't listen, and that's because I really don't want people to see what's going on within me. Because if I can talk, then I'm a distraction, and I can make a big show and all this kind of stuff. I don't know. Just realize that now. So maybe there'll be new developments and I'll understand what it is, but I sure would love to get a hold of this listening thing. So those were my 3 weaknesses. I'm not sure. I could list a couple more for sure, but they wanted to know your most damaging, and those are my most damaging. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Hope you have a fantastic day. If you want to find new and exciting ways to connect with the Common Guru, just check down in the description box. Don't forget to subscribe. Have a great day.